The Mahindra Thar is not a car. It's an emotion, it's an icon. It's a reflection of what a true blue SUV should look like. And for a lot of customers, it's an extension of their personality. It's a proper lifestyle tool. However, for the same kind of customer, for a majority of these customers, they don't get to use the 4x4 hardware. So why pay for something that you will not be using? This was the idea behind the birth of the Thar rear-wheel drive. So if you are not a hardcore adventure-seeking Thar customer, should you be looking at the new rear-wheel drive option? It's more value for money, it's at a more affordable price tag. But most importantly, if you do invest into the rear-wheel drive model, will this still take you places? Will this still do mild off-roading? Well, that is the reason behind this video.
By the way, the Thar rear-wheel drive looks identical to the 4x4 variant. Minor changes on the outside come in the form of no 4x4 badging and two new color options. This one, the bronze golden, and of course a white as well. So yes, same tire size, same ground clearance and same length, width and height. By the way, rear-wheel drive action off the road comes in just a few minutes. So hang on.
Now, before we get going towards the main action, a quick thing about the engine. Now, it loses out on the front 4x4 hardware. So yeah, it's going to be more cheaper. As of today, we don't have the prices out. The second reason for the lower affordable price tag will be a smaller diesel unit. Why this one? Well, this one is under 4 meters in length, and with a 1.5 diesel, it ends up enjoying small car tax benefits. So yes, a 1.5 diesel, the petrol is retained the same capacity, but for the diesel, you have a smaller unit coming in from the Marazzo. But do not worry, because the torque remains same as the bigger diesel engine. Yes, 300 Nm on offer. As for the power, the bigger engine gives you 130 horses. This one gives you 117 horses. So almost there. And of course, a 6-speed manual, no automatic option with the smaller diesel on the rear wheel drive Thar.
First thing first, this engine is not to be confused with the one you see on the Bolero Neo or the XV300. This is the one we see on the Marazzo. What is the difference? Well, the unit on the Marazzo is a 4-cylinder unit. So 4 cylinders, of course, always offer you lower NVH, that is noise, vibration, harshness levels are much better controlled, and you can make that out in the Thar as well. Been driving this for the last couple of days in Delhi NCR, and the smoothness levels, the vibration, the harshness, that's really very well controlled. At the same time, the gear shift, no complaints from it, but the throws are on the longer side, and even the clutch, I personally felt it to be slightly on the heavier side, which was not a welcome thing for the daily traffic jams we see on the way back to Delhi or in the evening, or towards my office in the morning. The Delhi-Gurgaon commute can sometimes be very bad. So that is where I thought the throws could have been shorter and the clutch action could have been slightly softer. That said, a lot of people have had apprehensions that coming down from a 2.2 to a 1.5 might not suit the Thar. Well, for starters, the 0 to 60 and 0 to 100 runs coming up on the screen. So as you saw, 0 to 60 in over 5 seconds and 0 to 100 in approximately 15 seconds. That is not too slow, not too quick, but for a 1.5 unit on a heavy SUV, I think these are respectable figures. The USP here is the way the torque flows in from the motor, something that you and I want to have on a daily basis. For example, in the third gear at lower speeds, 30-40, the way the engine picks up speeds is remarkable, especially once you cross the 1600 RPM on the tachometer. The gush of torque is pretty good, and you don't actually feel it's a small engine at all. Likewise, pottering in traffic, keeping up with slow moving traffic in third and fourth gears at a lower speed, it is effortless. And while doing so, the fuel economy, at least as per the display, is phenomenal. On my daily Gurgaon commutes up and back with the AC running, mixed traffic conditions, I have been seeing a very easy 17 plus on the speedometer, which means in pure urban usage, 14-15 will not be a concern to you. Likewise, for highway usage, 6-speed gearbox, even at 100 kmph, which is now becoming a common speed limit on most highways, most expressways. At 100 kmph, the engine is still sleeping under 2,500 RPM. So it's got long legs for highway usage, for your intercity runs, and at the same time for traffic, the torque is seamless. It is something that you will definitely appreciate with the 1.5 unit. What else? Well, I've seen a small disconnect in terms of when you lift off from the right pedal and you go back, you do feel that small jhatka or thud coming in from the floor and also from the gear lever. That could have smoothened out a bit, but again, I think Mahindra has already done a lot of work with this engine. Why do I say so? Well, remember, the Marazzo is a front wheel drive vehicle. This is a rear wheel drive vehicle. So the same engine now being modified for the rear wheel drive usage is where I think these small things might have cropped up. But again, hats off to Mahindra for the overall tractability of the engine. It's very drivable for your traffic needs, as I'm doing right now on the highway going back towards Delhi. I'll go into 5th gear, 60 kmph, not a thing to worry. Ample amount of torque available for my quick overtake runs like this. Now, if you're coming from a pseudo SUV to this one, you will notice the extra amount of road noise creeping in. This is because some amount of gaps are there. For example, at the back, the glass boot latch and the boot door, the half door at the boot, there are small gaps over there. So yeah, some amount of road noise does creep into the cabin. Our test car has the new Seat cross drive 80 tires. Also, because of 80 tires, some amount of noise will definitely creep inside the cabin. So yeah, as compared to your pseudo SUV, it might not be a very quiet pace on the inside. The cabin, the interiors, they remain identical to that of the 4x4 Thar. No changes on this regard and no complaints at all. It's a well laid out cabin. A few tweaks here and there. For example, of course, you have toggle switches, various functions. For example, for turning on the hazard lights or for the locking unlocking mechanism. So it's much more convenient now. The power window switches, they remain over here behind the gear lever, your manual handbrake lever, cup holders, and so on. So interiors, I've never had a complaint with the Thar, and they get carried over to the rear wheel drive version as well. Remember, there are two versions to pick, the top end LX and the AX option. As of today, pricing is not out, but yeah, we do know the features. So in the LX, pretty sorted, your touchscreen infotainment system, cruise control, climate control, and the positioning of the speakers is pretty good for both the front passengers and the rear passengers as well. Now, the suspension setup of both the vehicles, the 4x4 and rear wheel drive, unaltered, same kind of setup. This of course is a bit lighter because no 4x4 hardware up front. The bounciness remains over undulations, but attacking a corner or taking some long swing curves is not a concern. You just need to get used to the vehicle. Of course, you have the plus point of the stability control and traction control, keeping you safe in case you go overboard. Steering effort is slightly on the heavier side, but once you get going, no concerns at all. At highway speeds, because of 80 tires, road noise filters into the cabin, but overall highway manners are pretty good. It's got long legs, it can cruise at 100 plus all day long, no issues on that front. And yes, the 1.5 also uses AdBlue, so you'll have to use AdBlue every few thousand kilometers. Thankfully, the indication is available on the speedometer console. What about when you go off the road? Well, I'll do one thing. We'll head to the small twisties around Gurgaon. There we'll start exploring a few trails, and then we'll head to a special place to possibly try the off-road manners of the rear wheel drive Thar. Post the tarmac experience, it was time to take this new Thar off the road. First into unknown forest trails. The Seat cross-drive 80 tires came in handy, and I could go faster than expected without missing out on traction. From these mini Gurgaon hills, we then went to the real action zone.
Hello and welcome to one of the best places in North India for an off-road experience. We are at Oras, which is off-road adventure zone, a perfect place to see what the real wheel drive Thar can do. Now, a bit about the factors that go into making a vehicle very good off the road. Approach angle, departure angle, ramp over angle, the ground clearance, the wheel articulation and the tires. All this thankfully remains same as the 4x4 Thar, thereby giving a possible upper hand to this one. Will that happen? Well, let's see.
First, it was time to explore the track and understand the behavior of the 1.5 diesel. A few tight turns, a couple of inclines to see the torque flow, and even getting the Thar airborne. I was beginning to enjoy this SUV. And then the real action started. For example, the tire catcher course. The huge 18-inch wheels did come handy here. These all-terrain tires also have more abuse-friendly rubber, which means driving over sharp rocks is easily possible. And then smaller chicken humps or the articulation courses. These were done with ease as well. Look at the suspension travel and the excellent wheel articulation. Simply superb.
The Thar has the best possible approach, departure and the ramp over angle. Ramp over means basically this angle over here. The car will not touch the underbelly. You just saw that happening on this particular obstacle at Oras. No other SUV in the segment, I'm pretty sure, can do that, because most of the vehicles, they are low. They don't have such a good approach or departure angle. They don't have this kind of ground clearance and these kind of tires available as standard. Now that is the beauty of having good tires and ample wheel articulation. Though suspension travel of the rear wheel drive remains, the ground clearance remains, and because of this, even on these chicken humps, they are pretty deep. This one comes out with flying colors. No BLD, that is basically brake lock differential, nothing of that sort present on the Thar, but because of the articulation, the wheels have some kind of contact with the ground, and this one could do that very easily. But we will up the ante and go into bigger, deeper chicken humps to see if this one can still cover them, or basically the articulation test will be raised now for the Thar.
However, bigger articulation ramps showed the weakness of a 4x2. Look at how the rear wheel kept spinning without any change in movement. Only when I went back a bit and came ahead with momentum did the Thar 4x2 overcome this. The same thing was visible on the metal ramps as well.
So there you go, the Thar rear wheel drive for you. As an urban companion or as a highway tool, it is pretty sorted. The 1500cc turbo diesel has performed above my expectations. And as you saw in the video, it can also take the occasional soft off-roading or adventure escape into soft trails. It can definitely do that. However, for those looking for hardcore off-roading, you still have the option of the fabulous, capable 4x4 Thar. If you don't want that, you can also go for the Gurkha 4x4. A comprehensive ownership review of the Gurkha is live on the channel. The link you can see on the screen, and the link is also in the description section below. But this video was all about the rear wheel drive Thar. Amazingly efficient, punchy enough, the same kind of features, the same kind of road presence, and for those looking for a lifestyle vehicle and won't be using 4x4, well, there is every reason we should be recommending you the Thar rear wheel drive. For now, I'll have to get her back down so that I get traction and I'll go on moving from this course. For now, see you. Bye bye from Uraz.